Well then, at the press conference, first of the press conference is here at the EFRA 110th IC Track European Championships 2015, and we're here from the top two qualifiers for the Euro B Championship. We're here with Tom Krajewski, the top qualifier, and Kaya Ali, who won the SuperPole session that we've just seen earlier. Tom, let's start with you. Supreme performances throughout qualifying, sweeping a lot of your sessions. How good did it feel coming out of that session, knowing that you'd just been consistently probably the strongest guy out there?
Yeah, the problem of this track was the conditions are changing all the time, and I was happy that my car is okay in all my runs. It changes sometimes with the lap time, but it's drivable every time, and yeah, I will see what we can do in the final.
So just talk about that a little bit. How difficult is it to try and keep up with the track, and how much sort of second guessing of how the conditions changing did you have to do out there?
The problem is if, for example, the clutch is too early and you over push one corner, then you lose maybe the whole infield, and so it's super difficult to get a good setup.
It's very interesting you mentioned that, because a lot of drivers have talked about how difficult it is to set up for this track and how many corners there are and how many mistakes potentially could be made. Now you've qualified through to the final, how much confidence does it give you knowing that you're already locked in the final and you're rolling off on the pole?
Yeah, it couldn't be better for sure. Yeah, we will see how the conditions are in the final. That's about everything.
Excellent. Well, thanks very much for talking to us, Tom. And he's full of confidence, as so he should be, as top qualifier. Now, let's talk to the hometown hero, shall we? Kaya Ali, who won through in the SuperPole session. Just how nervous were you having to go first as the first of the drivers, and then having to wait for everyone else to go through on their runs?
İkinci GP yarış tecrübem olduğu için çok gergindim. Kendi yarışım haricinde diğerlerini beklerken daha bir gergindim. Yani o kadar.
I was so nervous that as it was my second GP race, and then waiting for the other guys to race made me a little bit more nervous because I had little time to make practice. So that was it.
Well, you must be delighted either way to make it through. Did the fact you're on home soil kind of help you along, or did you kind of block out the crowd from your mind in the end?
Buranın yerlisi olarak yarışıyor olmak sana kendini iyi hissettirdi mi, yoksa tamamen ayrıca mı düşündün, sanki buralı değilmiş gibi diğer dışarıdaki insan?
Yarışa başlarken hiç buralı olduğumu düşünmeyerek çok bağımsız bir şekilde yarışmaya başladım. Zaten burada ikinci GP kullanışım. İlki yarım bir şekildeydi. Tam bitirememiştim yarışı. Kendimi İzmirli olarak görmedim. Sırf şehir dışından gelmiş gibi ilk Avrupa tecrübem olarak görüyorum.
It was the second time that I have raced on this track, so I couldn't feel as if I was at home, because the first race I was racing wasn't complete at all. So I had an accident. So I didn't feel like I was at home. It's like a European experience, a European race experience for me.
That's a very good attitude to have, I think, sometimes taking the pressure off the home crowd as well. Now, of course, you're now in the final of the Euro B Championship, rolling off second as well in only your second event. How on earth do you try and contain the nerves overnight? And does the fact that you don't have to go through some of the lower finals give you a bit of confidence? You can just watch those guys do what they need to do.
Kendimi rahat hissedemeyeceğim. Akşam yine gergin bir şekilde uyuyacağım. Heyecanlı bir şekilde uyuyacağım. Ama kendimi olabildiğim kadar sakin tutmaya çalışacağım. İyi gideceğim. Reflekslerime de güvenmeye çalışacağım.
Of course, I will be nervous, and I don't expect to sleep well tonight. And I will do my best to keep my reflexes up in tomorrow's race, and I will do my best.
Excellent. Now that's the least we would expect. Well done to you guys for going through as the top two qualifiers, and thank you very much for your time, and thanks very much for speaking to us on RC Racing TV. Best of luck tomorrow to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. Well, there you go. There are your thoughts from Yeah, there you go. There is. Thanks very much for speaking to us, chaps. And there are your thoughts from Tom Krzyzewski, top qualifier from the Euro B Championships, and Kaya Ali, the SuperPole winner for Euro B. And we're just going to wait now for the top 2 qualifiers in Euro A to come through as well. Thanks very much for speaking to us, chaps, and best of luck tomorrow. Big sighs of relief from Kaya Ali. He almost looked more nervous in front of the cameras than he did up on the driver's stand. Barely feel how that's possible. Anyone can speak to a camera. I do that most of the time on my YouTube channel. I certainly couldn't be able to stand in that driver's stand and do what these guys do consistently. Well, we're just going to wait now for the top 2 qualifiers in the Euro A Championship field to come through. That will be Dominic Greiner and Timu Lino will come through. Obviously changed the names as well. That'll be a bit embarrassing, but I'm very interested to speak to Timu. We did speak to him briefly up on the driver's stand and got his thoughts. He didn't seem happy with how his car was handling in that session, but certainly he seemed to adopt to the conditions a lot quicker than everyone else. And a lot of people have been speaking about how the conditions have changed almost round by round here. This is a track that is always evolving. It is a track that has the same layout, and that's about it. The surface keeps changing. Rubber gets down on the track, oil gets down on the track, dust is blown onto the track and off it again. The wind changing conditions here. The sun in the sky is consistent, and even then that can change how things go down on the track. Whether it boils down and then it makes it stickier, or if it doesn't. Sometimes it can dry it up, and sometimes it can make the surface kind of smooth and skatey and skittery, as we saw in those sessions. We saw a lot of guys struggling with that in the qualifying sessions, and I'm fascinated to find out the thoughts of Dominic and Timu. They're just here right now. Timu's coming through now, and coming through now to speak to us. I'm fascinated to hear their thoughts of this F-Mod Arena facility. So here we go then. Here is your conference. Here is your chat with your European Championship A top 2 qualifiers. Just let them get comfortable for a second. I've been nervously jittering around. Well, certainly Timu has been waiting for that final round to go through. But now they can breathe a bit of a sigh of relief, because these are your first two drivers to be locked in to tomorrow's grand final for the IC Track 1/10th European Championships 2015. Dominic Greiner, let's start with you. Your performances in the qualifying rounds was really kind of ruthlessly effective. Hang on a second. Well spotted. There we go. Let's speak to top qualifier Dominic Greiner then. You made it through as the top qualifier then. I remember last time I saw you in the 1/8 Championship out in Germany, things weren't quite there for you. What has changed since then, if any, or is it just a case of this track kind of suiting your driving style more?
Yeah, usually, normally I drive the 110 car, and 1/8 I started this year because of the European Championship in Germany and the Nationals at my home track. So overall, I'm a 110 driver, and all the driving skills and the feeling from the cars, I like the 110 car more. But here, it's very strange. The grip is very high and crazy setup. And the track is very, very far and very, very big. But the line is very important here. It's a very small gap where you can drive, and yeah. But overall, I'm very happy.
Well, understandably so, as the top qualifier. It must have been incredibly hard work to get through in those sessions, but near in the end you were just nailing good session after good session. Now, people have talked about how the track conditions change from session on session, so I guess same question to you as the previous top qualifier. How do you keep up with the track? How do you anticipate how the track's going to change from session upon session?
Yeah, yesterday, the first run, my car was very good. For the second run, I had a little bit more front steering and flipped one time. And then I broke the tire and lost too much time, so this was my 5th place. But today, in the first 2 runs, I changed nothing on the car, and 2 times was very good. And for the third run, I rebuilt just the shocks, and then it was a bit strange for too much steering in the front, and then you have no corner speed, and then it's a bit slower.
Well, it's interesting to note how the conditions have changed so much from session on session, and you just mentioned there about how you've been doing double duty this year in the 1/8 and the 1/10 disciplines, but you kind of view 1/10 as your home. Talk us a little bit about how the driving style differs between the two. I mean, they're both obviously nitro-fueled engines, they've got slightly different bodies, but how much does the slightly smaller scale affect your driving style of them?
Yeah, for 110 you must investigate more in the line. You must nearly on the curbs and in the corners. And 1/8 you can push more hard, you have more power out of the corner, you have more traction and grip from the body, from the aerodynamic. And for 110, for me 110 is a bit difficult to drive as 1.8. But yeah, also the setup with 110, you have the diff in the front and in the rear, and the body has not so much pressure on the car. So for 110, I think that's the reason why 110 is in the last years it goes more less driver as a 1.8, because to drive 110 very fast is very difficult. I think the 1.8 car drives faster, easy, I think.
So it's easier to go quicker in the 1/8 car. That's very interesting.
Sure.
I mean, we have been wondering, a lot of the guys, Timu as well, doing double duty from the 1/8 tournament as well. So we're very interested to hear about the differences between the two. Now, of course, you're going through his top qualifier. You were able to sit back and relax in the pits while Timu and co were out there sweating it out in the SuperPole session. You'll be rolling off on pole for the final. Does that affect your strategy for the final at all, or is it just a case of lead from the front, no mistakes, I'm champion? I wish it was that easy, of course. It's always easier said than done. But how's your strategy going to be for the final?
Yeah, the problem here is to have a car which is the whole final very easy to drive, because the tires here, the tire wear is strange. It's not high, but strange, and the car changed a little bit, I think, in the longer run. So it's very important not flipping and chunk the tire. That's the problem here. And flip one time, you have a chunk tire, and then it's finished. Then you must change the tire, and then you lost more time. But overall, it's very important to have a nice car, easy car. Maybe not so fast as in the qualifiers, but when you have a good tire set, the whole final, you will be in the first 3 positions.
Excellent. Well, excellent. Well, you're feeling confident then for your chances, and I'm not surprised at all. As a top qualifier, you've smashed through the heats, rolling off pole. But there is the crucial factor, ladies and gentlemen, tyre wear in that final. That is probably going to decide who is going to be our European champion. Dominic, thank you very much for talking to us. Best of luck tomorrow in the final. Now on to Timu Leino, who had to come through that SuperPole session there. Obviously, you were third of the 4 drivers up. You spoke briefly to our own Matt after the session, saying that the handling was a little bit strange on the car. Just talk to us a little bit about how different the track felt between even the end of qualifying and the SuperPole session.
Yeah, it was maximum loose after the qualifying. I think it was same in Ettlingen when we had the 1.8 Euros. You have a 1 hour break, and we had the huge wind here, so all the dust come to the track, so the traction was lower. And I changed the tires from right to left, and the car was like tweaked. And after the run, actually, because the traction was low, the outside tire didn't wear, so I had the 2 millimeter split. So that's why it felt really strange to try.
It must have felt pretty unusual, but I guess it must have worked out in the end. Did you have any kind of inkling of where you were in terms of your lap times? Because, of course, you did nail that fastest lap right on the final lap of the session. Did you have any idea that in the back of your mind that you still needed to go quicker, or was it just a case of let's go as quick as possible and then I'll figure out where I am at the end of the run?
No, I usually do everything at the last moment, so I knew anyway it's the last lap for me. So I keep it cool, and I was waiting the last lap. Even the car didn't feel that good that time, as we had the new setup for the run. We tried to make the car more hard, so more easy to drive, but traction was low, so it was actually worse. So I'm pretty happy with that. It worked out.
I'd imagine you must be. How interesting was it, or what perspective did it give you going up third? Because obviously you get to watch the first 2 and see if you could pick up anything from them. So I guess my question's twofold. What did you learn from the first 2, and how nerve-wracking was it to then go in and watch someone else try and beat your time at the end there?
Well, I didn't watch them at all. I was just hanging on the rostrum, and if you watch too much what other guys do, it's just, for me, it's no point. I just like to do my own thing, and I don't care what others do. It's you focus your own thing. It always works out better for me.
Well, that's a very interesting attitude, and I guess we've spoken about how the SuperPole sessions can put drivers in a different mentality. I mean, it's very rare in RC racing that all the attention's focused on one driver like that. So I guess you've just given us a hint of that. How do you deal with that when you're up on the platform? Do you, as you said, do you just try and keep yourself away from everything as possible, so it's not information overload, and just focus in as much as possible? And even then, that seems very difficult to do.
Well, for me it works. I've been always doing like that. Like, some people like to sneak and check what other people do and try to find stuff, but I figure out it works better when I just try all kind of crazy setups and make the car for you, as everybody driving style is different, so you need to make your own setup. So if I copy somebody's setup, it's maybe no good if that guy drives completely different, so just waste of the time.
So you have to focus in a lot on your own setup. So that's really fascinating information. Of course, this SuperPole setup's fairly new, so we're all learning about it all the time, as I guess you guys are as well. So it's really good to find that out about it. Now, on to the serious matter of tomorrow's final. You'll be rolling off second behind Dominic here. You two will be in the final first. Won't have to worry about the semi-finals, so you can just go off somewhere else and not even watch that if you want to. But what's the strategy going to be for the final? What do you reckon? Where do you reckon this final is going to be won and lost?
Well, first I hope that I get a good set of tires, as like him and me, we both had the junk tires, like the cooling coming off, so I think it's a little bit risky business in a long final, because it can cost the whole final win, so just keep it clean and drive around. That's pretty much it.
Keep it clean and drive around. I wish Aussie racing was that simple. I'd be able to do that as well. But just one more question then. This track, this F-Mod Arena, it's a very interesting facility. There's a lot of corners on it. It felt to me, as a viewer, that if you tried to drive too hard around it, it would kind of bite you. You couldn't be too aggressive with it. What sort of style gets the best out of this track?
Yeah, it's like you said, it's because the traction is so high. If you push like maximum, you will slip. So you need to all the time keep it on the limit and 100% focus how the car enters in the corners. And each run, actually the traction is, I feel it's more and more. I think tomorrow is even more traction. So it changes all the time. And it's really weird that even middle of the day when it's like really hot, like 38 degrees, and track is probably 70 degrees or 60 degrees, traction is super high. Normally we go to Italy, traction is super high in the morning and the evening, but daytime it push. But here it's all the time super high. So I like the facility. It's just a little bit too big for the 10 scale, but I like the track because it's a really difficult track. It's very technical. Many tracks are too easy, so it also makes the good drivers to show the skills.
Well, it pushes the drivers to the limit and it puts on a fantastic spectacle. We can't wait for the finals tomorrow. You two will be rolling off 1-2 in the grand final, going for European Championship glory. We wish you the best of luck, both of you. Gents, thanks very much for talking to RC Racing TV.
Thank you.
So that was Dominic Greiner, your